What?
गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज we'll take a look in China, the third episode of Peek into Everyday China, where I'm going to review what's happened for the past 1 week. I should have logically done it tomorrow or the day after, but the way things are moving, I thought let me do it today. Right. So with this in view, let me start. Why am I doing this the way it is happening? Right? Because Xi Jinping is in a bit of a panic, and that's palpable. When I saw the articles in South China Morning Post, in Nikkei Global and Kexin Global, जब आप देखते हो, there is something which is sort of missing. And what is missing? It's economics. Plain and simple. Why is this happening? Why is Xi Jinping, for the past 6 months, he's not bothered about economics? He's spoken of new productive forces, this, that, all that nonsense. All of a sudden, he's going towards economics, third plenum of economics. Suddenly, he's preparing ground for the third plenum of economics, which is to take place in July. I'm going to track it. You see how this fellow is doing things and how they're covering up everything. But Xi Jinping and company can only cover up that much. The reality will come, and then we can take a call as to where China is heading. But having said that, whatever, despite what I talk, there is also a parallel movement by Xi Jinping and company to take advantage of the global situation. And now that is coming through clear, because लड़ाई हो रहा है यूक्रेन में, गाजा में लड़ाई हो रहा है, बेसिक ईरान में इंस्टेबिलिटी थोड़ा है, और अफ्रीका में लड़ाई काफी हो रही, छोटे छोटे हमें नहीं पता चलता बट हो रहे, इन्फ्लेशन ज्यादा है. सो द वर्ल्ड इज इन अ chaos. America is busy with all these wars, so is Europe, right? And what I see is he's contained the South China Sea with spat with Philippines. And slowly they're edging towards a Chinese-centric world order. I'll talk of that separately, what has happened, because that is something उसका नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते. और साथ साथ ये भी हम नहीं भूल सकते हैं कि चाइना का इकोनॉमी डाउन हो रहा है. इसके परिणाम होगा, इसका क्या परिणाम है हम डिस्कस करेंगे. क्योंकि जब एक देश अग्रसर होते जाता है, वो अपना शक्ति को बढ़ाना चाहता है, और it wants to become a global leader of everything, right? When its own economy is going down, one is going up, one is going down, opposite directions, कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स होंगे चाइना के अंदर. वो किस प्रकार वो बाहर आएंगे, ये देखने वाली बात है. बट बोथ आर हैपनिंग. बट टुडे विल टॉक ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. उसके बाद विल हैव एन ओपन हाउस. जो भी आपका सवाल है सब बताइए, क्योंकि अभी ये ओपिनियन पॉल, ये पॉल, वो पॉल आ जाएगा, फिर people will not have time for all these for a few days. We'll restart a little later. Right. First thing, the last episode, उसमें जब हमने बात किया था, तो I spoke of how the Chinese ship is grounded, right? And the property problem was there. China had given out a dole of $41 billion stimulus. The stimulus is largely loans, and the view is that it's not good enough upfront. It's too huge. So we'll start with the property story first, and then we'll take it further. Look at this. This is very interesting. Today, इसमें आया है Bloomberg में. China has 60 million homes which are not being sold. That's a hell of a lot of inventory. Just think, the average cost, did a quick check, the average cost of a home in China is about 16,244 yuan or RMB per square meter. That's about 2,228 per square meter. Square meter, not square feet. It translates into about 150,000 to 250,000 per home. Dollars. Dollars being the common denominator. Okay? And China homes are costly. You shouldn't have doubts about that. Okay. Now, so you can imagine 60 million into 250,000 or say 200,000. So something like 12 trillion, 13, I don't know what it is. How many trillion dollars it is. I think it should come to about 12 trillion. So that is stuck. 12 trillion plus is stuck in unsold homes. What about homes for which people have paid and are not built? वो इसका double ले लो. So this is one big hole. Now for a problem which is say 14-15 trillion dollars or maybe more, to give 41 billion dollars to state provinces and all is peanuts. That's why it's not going to happen. Okay, is that at all? No, the property investment has also gone down. Now in this episode I'm going to show you a lot of graphs, and all these graphs are Chinese graphs. Okay, this is National Bureau of Statistics of China. So you see in the end, property is going down, investment. Okay, this is of course for the past 20 years, but at the end you see it's gone down. Now there's another issue. Now everyone says EVs, EVs, EVs. Why EV to up? Everyone is going in for EVs. Everyone wants to sell energy. Everyone wants to sell batteries. Everyone wants to sell solar in China. But if everyone sells only this, what happens to the rest of the economy? That's the funny part. And Xi Jinping is saying, "Yaar, abhi bas kam karo is battery bootery. Don't concentrate only on one part of the economy. Diversify." Okay. Otherwise, that whole system is getting overheated, and as a result, everyone who's rushing into this sector is cutting each other's prices. And with the tariffs which have gone up all over the world, everyone, I showed you last week, everyone has jacked up the tariffs. If the tariffs are jacked up, who will buy all this? So it's a glut. There is a glut. That means you'll have unsold inventory. Okay, it's not only that. There's something else. He says China targets wasted production in critical sectors to curb pollution, ease overcapacity. There are 4 industries that don't produce. They've already produced so much that now they don't produce. What are those industries? He's talking of steel, petrochemicals, non-ferrous metals and building material. कहता है मत बनाओ, so factory बंद करो, इसको electricity मत दो, क्योंकि वो factory चलाने से क्या होगा? बिजली देना पड़ेगा, बिजली होगा तो प्रदूषण होगा, और वैसे ही इनका इतना ओवर कैपेसिटी हो गया, so they're cutting down. So just see what's happening in China. Confusion. एक तरह वो उसका घर नहीं बिक रहे, जिन्होंने जो पैसा दे दिया वो बन नहीं रहा. ठीक, everyone wants to produce solar or EVs or things like that, right? People are continuing to produce these old items which no one wants to buy, which means electricity. Now, if you close, your jobs will go, and that's also happening. It's a very funny situation, this, right? So the trade has gone down because all those factories are closing down. All this, he wants to produce a plan. कि भाई China will recover this way. We have a problem because of COVID, because of America. और ये सब कहानी आएगा अभी. I mean, I can foresee it. And then he'll say, "This is my great plan, XICONOMICS, Xi Jinping plan." We'll see what it happens. ये देखिए. This is the latest. Everyone thought China is producing, China is doing this, China is doing that. इनका खुद का डेटा बोलता है the factory production has shrunk in May. Okay, देखिए factory shrinks. Have a look at it closer. China factory activity shrinks in May amid uneven economic recovery. Okay, what has gone down? See the graph again. This is today's आज का ताजा खबर. In the end, manufacturing, PMI, and this thing. That halka line hai, that's a dangerous one. Manufacturing index. That's gone below 50. 50 is the median mark. Anything above 50 is expansion, or below 50 is contraction. Okay, he's gone down to 49.5. So there is a problem which is there. So the factory output is also going down, which has its own issues. Okay, right. Now, he also knows कि भाई jobs नहीं है. So he's issued a call to arms. China must cultivate new job sources, quell chaos in employment market. These are all strong words. These are words which Xi Jinping is talking. The whole thing resembles to me a rat who's caught. Idhar bhago, udhar bhago, udhar bhago, udhar bhago. All these effects. Look, all this has come out in the past 5 days, 6 days. Sunday to today. Okay. Not unemployment is going down. We thought it was going up, it's now going down again. Or rather, okay. Plus, there are nearly 12 lakh graduates joining in the whole stream this year. So the overall unemployment scene is widening. Okay. ये देखो, startups. There are not enough startups today. The startup space in China is shrinking. Startup unicorns are not there. The numbers have gone down. And the number of people involved in startups has also gone down. And Xi Jinping is worried. Okay? So it catches his eye. So what if it catches his eye? क्या देखेगा? ऐसे देखेगा? So he wants to put money into this whole story. He'll give money. They'll show. They'll double the number of startups. They'll say, high tech, and it'll happen. Just watch 1 more month. We'll track it. So here is this from Yikai, this is Yikai Global. What does he say? He says Chinese business leaders see pay shrink for the first time in 20 years. This is a cover story. So there is a pay cut at the top. Normally in all corporates, pay cut starts at the bottom. First thing any corporate does is they cut the pay scales at the bottom. If the pay scales are getting cut at the top, then there's a problem. And mind you, Yikai Global or Caxin Global are both not political sites. They're all more, what shall I say, economic sites or business-oriented sites. Chalo, what is the next thing? Caxin. What does Caxin say? His cover story. China's pension plan faces prospects for change or going bust. Population, old age. I told you, every week there is something on population and old age. So their pension plan is at risk. Earlier they used to say 2035, now it might happen faster. धीरे धीरे आता है चाइना में जो झूठ है ना बाहर निकल के आ जाता है बाहर. It comes out, you can't stop it. So there's a problem in their pension plan. Okay, middle class jittery. Interesting. They're jittery about spending, especially on property, survey finds. Southwest University of Finance and Economics in Chengdu, Sichuan, carried out a survey wherever they did. Okay. And that's what this whole survey is. And the findings of the survey are interesting. I put it down. And of course, yeah, real estate sales are also going down. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing left. Puras 24, 23, it's only down. Right. What does this say? This needs to be read in full. He says, index of families' future spending expectations was lower than in the early days of COVID-19 pandemic. It was 101.9 in the first quarter of 2024. In the fourth quarter, last quarter, 2023, it was 103. In the second quarter of 2020, during the pandemic time, it was 102. So now it is now getting lesser. 100 is the dividing line between expansion and contraction. So it's about to get into contraction zone. Future spending expectations of families. This is a Chinese survey. It is not American Pew, Shiv, and all that. Families cautious about buying real estate. Households buying new homes has come down to 6.4% in the first quarter. It was 7.5% in the last quarter. That's going down. It goes with the graph. It goes with all the stories I've told you. Only 6.8% plan to buy property in the next 3%, while 20% want to wait and watch. 63% were not optimistic about economic prospects in the next 12 months. So, right, Aam Aadmi na khush hai. Okay. Expectations of job stability were still in the contraction range below the threshold of 100 at 98.2. जॉब्स है ही नहीं. वो शी जिनपिंग भी बोल रहा है, अब ये सर्वे वाले भी बोल रहे हैं. Okay. Household debt across all income groups rose, particularly among low-income households. All these is, see, Chinese data. It's not my data. It confirms what all I've been telling about China. Okay. Enrollment in the National Private Pension Scheme launched in November 22 did not meet policy expectations. Last year, 50 million people opened personal pension accounts. Only 22% of the account holders made deposit. Okay? Travel and entertainment have remained at pandemic levels. So, overall, what all I've shown earlier today is confirmed by their own survey and from different sources. So, you see what's happening actually. The people are becoming poorer. The state remains rich. The people are big. This is something like what's happened in Pakistan. Okay, next and very interesting one. This is. He says this is a Chinese expert. He says, what lesson does Stalin's Cold War mistake have for Russia, China, and US? He's a historian, all that. But let me read out what they've said. He says, this is about the China and Russia relationship. Very interesting, this is. He says, Putin wants to go backwards and rebuild the Russian empire, which is obvious. He's done that in Crimea, he's done it in Georgia, he's done it in Belarus, he's done it in Ukraine, Chechnya, Caucasus, everything. What does he want to do? He says he wants to bring back the original Russian or the Soviet sphere of influence that had been whittled away. He says this is a security threat to China. It is, while it is opposed to US and West, it is so expanded Russia is a threat to China. That's what he is saying. We all think that China Russia equations are going up, and no limits friendship. I told you last time in their recent meeting that no limits has been taken away. So there's a problem. Now the relationship between China and US is not good. So once again, China and Russia have a common enemy, and that pushes them to unite. All that is fine. But the first one is the operative thing. He says, in my opinion, China should stick to its foreign policy of the early days of reform and open up, not aligning with others or drawing lines based on ideology. This is again very, very, very important. What does this historian say? He says, भैया USA के पास चले जाओ, रशिया को छोड़ दो. And he's brought something else which I actually didn't think of it this way, to be very honest. He says there is a tendency to the return to the pattern of confrontation between the northern triangle and the southern triangle. What is the northern triangle? The northern triangle is Russia, North Korea, and China. The southern triangle is South Korea, Japan, and USA. But I think it would be dangerous to go that far and possibly trigger a full-scale conflict. China should be conscious. So we all think that Russia and China upheaval axis, crick upheaval, ये सब हमने बात किया है. I spoke extensively with General Raj Shukla on this. But you look at this fellow says, mat karo. And it gets prominent space in South China Morning Post. And there is a view within China which says getting too close to Russia might be a problem. Where does that leave that relationship? How does it impact us? I mean, it has to impact us at some point of time. So this is something which we have to work on. And this is a factor which I will discuss a little later. Because I'm working on it, I'm working on the way China is going about establishing its Sino-centric world order. Like I told you, whatever happens internally within its own system, it's not bothered. It's looking at externally. Okay. Then he says, again, population problem. Young seniors are those between 60 to 65. Elderly youth are those of 30 to 40. So this is the terminology which is coming in. So people are now internally getting more conscious of this aging business. It started affecting them socially. It's coming. I told you 6 months back that as days go by, this will dominate the Chinese thinking. It's happening actually faster than I thought. Okay. Every week there is an analysis of this. Right? Now, when all this is happening, there's a US delegation which has gone to Taiwan. Right? A political delegation. So they're telling Tenga to USA. I mean, sorry, China. And what will China do now against Taiwan is to be seen. Remember, at this point of time, China will do nothing. I mean, and that I'm very clear for a long time. Because now suddenly Xi Jinping finds his economic stool loose. ढीला हो गया। ये प्रॉब्लम्स देखिए, ये और बात ये है कि ये मेरा अंदेशा नहीं है, ये जी जिनपिंग का अंदेशा है। ओके, he says cautions against energy investment overloaded meeting. Don't invest too much into energy, which I spoke of. It's all Xi Jinping's thinking. In a way, it's rational thinking. I mean, if you're rational, that's what you'll do. Suddenly, he's looking at the reality which is happening. Okay. Now, despite all this, there's one chap put to death because he embezzled some $150 million. Right? Senior broker, banker. So that's also happening. So purging going on. Purging is non-stop in China. Every week, 10 days, you'll find something happening. So this is all internal. What is happening externally, I'll tackle in a episode after the elections, because I think the number of people wanting to know about China is minimal. Everyone wants to know whether Modi will continue or Rahul Baba will come in or what happens, and that's logical. We'll wait till that happens. In fact, I am telling you now itself, on 4th, I'm not going to talk. Please keep looking at the polls. We'll restart only on 5th. Okay. And everyone talks of UNization. Look at this. This is again, just last week, every week there's something about the UN. China's UN strategy is not paying off with trade partners. It's there another survey. Policy and market risks are uncontrollable. Okay? People are not interested in taking up the UN. As simple as that. You see the exchange rates. UN is going up. That is, it's becoming weaker. Again, this is basic, their data. And in case this is international data. This survey, it says a total of 1,657 companies were surveyed in March. 71% private businesses, 13% state-owned enterprises, Chinese, and 15% foreign-funded enterprises. Out of those 1,600. 63.8% cited complexity of policies as the main obstacle, and more than 40% said difficulties lie in the compatibility of laws and regulations and capital flow barriers. The capital flow barriers and the laws and regulations with which China is governed is not compatible with India or USA or Europe. So money can't flow. If money can't flow in an international environment, how will anyone accept yuan? If tomorrow I take yuan, and that yuan is tomorrow purpose towards Xi Jinping's ideas or militarizing China, why will I have yuan? In a way, as much as we want to de-dollarize and not depend too much on the dollar, we don't have a choice. That is why, if you see, the Indian government is looking at having bilateral negotiations with a lot of people where say we do rupee trade. And as your power grows up, your rupee trade will increase. But don't think by any stretch of imagination that will replace the dollar and all. It will not happen. Okay, right. So what else in this? He says 20% pointed to lack of hedging tools. Southeast Asian customers are more likely to settle in yuan, that is, countries around China. And those customers who have Chinese background. Because there are a lot of Chinese expatriates who are, say, up to Singapore, Malaysia. A lot of Chinese are doing business. They don't mind yuan, but others won't like. Customers in overseas markets prefer to settle in dollars because yuan is not useful for investing in their countries. As simple as that. As simple. So those of us who think yuan is going to replace the dollar, just forget it. A lot of things will come. This is a survey, and this is an internal survey within China. Unless people want to hold that currency, nothing will be held. I mean, let me put it. I've been going abroad, coming back, everything, going to many countries during service, some after service. I go to each country, carry some of their currency as a token and रख लेता हूँ. But mostly, whatever I have to hold, in foreign currency, I hold in dollars. I won't hold in yuan. I mean, it's not much. It's to take care of basic expenses for 1-2 days, so that you have some cash in hand if everything fails. But I have dollars, and that's the case with almost everyone. Everyone who does international travel, wherever he is, he holds dollars. It could be 100, 200, 300, 400, $500. So this business of yuan, yuan and all is bunk. Now, this is something else which is happening in China. This is a mosque in Hui. Hui is a Muslim-dominated area. After Xinjiang, Hui, this is the central part of China. And Hui province, this is the mosque. Now, this mosque looks like this. Where are all these Islamic countries? Why is there so much hue and cry about what's happening in India when you don't even talk about China? What's happening? Mosque ko bana diya Chinese, dekhiye. This is Islamization, or rather signification of Islam. Same third-rate Pakistan doesn't talk. Not a single word. It doesn't talk of what's happening in Xinjiang. What it happening to their mosque. In your country, our country, you change a brick in a mosque and tomorrow there'll be riots out there. What's happened to all these fellows there? And many of these riots will be instigated from abroad. So the lot, you have to think what's happening in China. They're going to a system which will give them problems, because whether you like it or not, faith is something, if you shake, there will be problems. I do keep hearing odd, in tweets, in odd, snippets come out here and there that it's getting into social problems. We'll see how much social problems China is getting into. But my guess, as the people become poorer, they will become poorer. And as they become older, which you can't stop that, there are going to be problems in China, and those problems are going to be internal. And for that, Xi Jinping and company are going to be so repressive. And I'll do that also in that episode where China is trying for a Sino-centric world order. How it is doing it. It's doing it. And we have to be open eyes about it. Okay. So I'm done with the problem of XICONOMICS, which is in panic. There is some panic. Now I'll take on all your questions. I'll start from the top. All your questions one by one I'll take. It doesn't matter where you have this thing from. What would be the reasons for the possible visit of MBS to Iran? Look, you must understand that the Saudi Arabians want peace. Anyone wants peace. Oil as a resource is running out. Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi have taken a conscious decision to invest into the future. That is why IMEC and all that started. So they feel that if they can mend fences with Iran, it's to their benefit and to Iranians' benefit. And they're diversifying. If you see MBS is going to Iran, he is going to China, he is going to India. They want to get off USA, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, with what's happening in Israel and Hamas, things will not, I mean, he might not be that successful, but the movement is there, which is good for us. For us as Indians, I think it's a good move. We will not have a duality of relationship with Iran and Saudi Arabia. And this will help countering Turkey out. And it will also control Pakistan. Okay. Z has a master plan to buy all empty houses in the country for 42 billion USD. Why? Won't this put provincial governments under pressure because they'll obviously have to? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's what I've said. But 42 billion se kya hoga? Look, he has to show that he's doing something. I mean, he's got to face the third plenum, economic plenum. So that's his plan. So he says, look, I've forwarded 42 billion. You buy, give it to poor people, and I'll write off the money, whatever he wants to do. But that has problems for China in the long run. But he is a politician. At the end of the day, he's a politician. His survival depends on doing all this and showing himself off as doing something great for the Chinese people. So that's the thing. Okay. So aside from the present cloak and daggers game in progress, apparently China remains the American B team. Attempts are being made to provide China a soft landing. Your views? No, I don't think so. I don't think China is the B team. I disagree with it. They are at daggers drawn with each other. You have to understand there's no soft landing being given to China anymore. They're coupled. Globalization brought them together. A lot of manufacturing is being done in China, right? No one wants to take it on, and no one has the capacity to take it on. Okay, so you cannot go to war with China immediately. No one can. I mean, all this talk of war, sure, and all, I've been saying right from the beginning, it won't happen. So people have to, America has also put in Make in America kind of a thing, Make in USA, of critical technologies and critical industry. So they'll replace it. After that happens, something else will happen. It'll take time. It's not going to happen in a hurry. The whole story will take, in my way of looking, what got built over 30 years can't be undone over the next 5 years. Okay. It'll take 10, 15 years. I keep saying this is where is our opportunity. Is our government alive to this? Do we have a plan? And because the plan has to be twofold. One is reduce your own dependence on China and increase more people coming in. Can that be successful? A lot depends on what happens on June 4th. Right? So if you have continuity, you have one set of issues. You don't have continuity, you have another set of issues. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad at this point. We'll see. We'll analyze that. I'll analyze that from a security perspective, from an economic perspective, and the way I see the results as they happen. Because at the end of the day, when the results happen, it's the will of the people. It's our will which has prevailed. Okay? We'll have to take it from there.